Yo, what's up? My name's Patrouski, and today I'm going to be showing you guys what I believe is the new best method for catching Dittos within PokeMMO. Now, I don't know if many other people know about this method, and I myself have been tinkering and improving it and sort of crafting it on my own. However, I am using a Vaporeon strategy that was popularized by Alice on PokeMMO YouTube. And their video for this will be linked down below. Now, most people have been using the Vaporeon strategy over at the spot in Hoenn, and I've come to found through something called Ditto Mythbusters, where I tested Hoenn versus the Johto spot. There's a new spot over in Johto, which I'll be showing you, that I think the Johto spot's actually better. It's the same amount of Dittos per hour, but you also have a passive chance at getting the legendary Pokemon and better shinies like Miltank. Now let's go ahead and get into the requirements of this method. First things first, you need Johto's storyline done up until a decent point so you can go access this area over here. You'll also need a waterfall and a surf HM, and you're also going to need very specific Vaporeons. Let's go through each individual thing that you must have on your Vaporeon step by step. First things first, you need a Silk Scarf on both of them. Second thing, their stats should look like this, and we'll see why in a split second. Let's then look at their EVs. So I've gone with 108 attack EVs. This seems to be the best EV that I've found for this strategy after a few hours of testing. If you guys find better use through other things, let me know in the comments. We can test it out and double check things. This is definitely still a developing method. You want the other IVs in special attack, mostly just to throw away those EVs so they're not being put into other stats, making things bulkier or making the Ditto more complicated to deal with. And then the speed EV as well. The speed doesn't really matter. It's totally fine. It's almost such a way to dump the stats. You mostly just need the attack EVs, and then you're dumping everything else into things that won't affect you, or the special attack is nice to be able to heal you back up with water absorb. So let's now check the IVs, because the IVs are super important as well. 31 attack on both of them. I recommend having 2 Vaporeons for this strategy. You can do it with 1, but you'll be doing more PC trips more often since you only have 16 PP after PP max in your Yawn. But you need 31 attack. It's an absolute must, and you need 0 defense. These are the 2 IVs. Every other IV is irrelevant. Every other IV should not matter. Plenty, base speed of Vaporeon is enough to outspeed Dittos and stuff like that. 31 attack IV is a must. 0 defense IV is a must. And you also need Yawn, Payday, and then 2 water moves. It doesn't really matter what the water moves are. They can be surf and waterfall to actually help yourself get to the location. That's what I would recommend. I just have the ocarinas for waterfall and surf, but I'd probably recommend putting waterfall and surf on both of these. Then I strongly recommend a PP max for both your Payday and your Yawn. You don't have to egg move breed Yawn onto Eevee. That's a constant thing that I see talked about. Don't worry, because if you go to Eevee, it says egg move. If you just evolve it into Vaporeon with a Water Stone, you'll actually learn Yawn at the very start. As soon as you evolve your Pokemon right here, at the very start of your Vaporeon, it'll learn Yawn, so you won't have to worry about egg moving. I will be uploading like a 30-minute video or so of me actually making these Vaporeons and mostly just going over the EV training process and all the testing and everything that went into it. So if you're interested in more of the behind-the-scenes content, make sure to check that out. You're also going to need a ton of net balls, as that's the best way to catch Ditto with this strategy and probably the best Pokeball in PokeMMO right now. And I'm bringing a catching Pokemon in the back just in case I run into a shiny, but you may or may not need that. It's up to you. It's up to kind of safety precaution situations. Let's go ahead and actually get over to the location and show you guys the method, strategy, and the benefits. So starting here in Cyanwood City in Johto, you want to go ahead and head up to this northwest part, head over into this cave, head up this staircase, head up the staircase continuously until you head outside. Then you want to actually walk over here, loop around, and head back inside the cave at the very first entrance before going over that little bridge. Go down the ladder, and then outside of the cave again. You want to immediately surf on this water, surf upward, take the waterfall upward, and then make your way over here. This is where you can see a lot of people, number 1, hunt the legendary Pokemon here in Johto. Number 2, people are here to shiny hunt Miltank. And number 3, people are here to catch Dittos or all of the above. Let's go ahead and get into a battle, and I'll show you guys what the strategy actually looks like. All right, we got a Ditto encounter on our second encounter, and here's what it's going to look like. You're going to go ahead and click Yawn turn 1. That's going to make the opposing Pokemon drowsy as they transform into your Vaporeon. So he's going to transform. This is now turn 2. On turn 2, I'm going to click Payday, and I shouldn't kill the Ditto unless I crit. Critting is the only kind of negative of this strategy. So now I'm getting extra Pokeyen, 340 Pokeyen per Ditto catch, as well as just catching Dittos, which you all know is decently profitable. I will say, at the time of recording, Dittos aren't the most profitable thing in the game right now. Honestly, sitting around 150k Pokeyen per hour after costs on average. It's not great. Generally, Dittos are usually around 220, 200k plus Pokeyen per hour, but due to 1x31 Dittos being so cheap at the moment in July 2024, it's not the best, but it's one of those consistent moneymakers that will always come back into the economy, so it's always important to keep an eye out for. So as you can see, my Pokeyen stack went up around 340 Pokeyen there. But if you aren't aware already, the big benefit of Dittos and catching Dittos at all is that Dittos have an amazing base price, one of the best base prices in PokeMMO, because people need tons of Dittos for rare shiny hunting. If you ever wanted a shiny Charizard, a shiny Beldum in PokeMMO, on average, you're going to need 30,000 Dittos to ever get there, and a lot of time. Now, I will say I don't recommend selling these Dittos on the GTL for this prices. What I recommend is selling them as Ditto boxes via my Discord or other trading systems to actually find those high-end players who want all those Ditto boxes. And the reason why is because you save money on the listing fee. If you sell a Ditto on the GTL for 4,300 Pokeyen, well, you're losing, 1,000 Pokeyen just from the listing fee. So you're actually only making 3,300 Pokeyen per Ditto. But if you sell them as Ditto boxes, what I normally do is I take 4,300 minus 500, and then I sell each Ditto for this price. So I sell a Ditto box, I times 60, it's how many Pokemon are in a box. 230k or so is a fair price right now for Ditto boxes. That's how I measure these things. That's generally how I recommend to price check most boxes in PokeMMO. And selling Ditto boxes is honestly a super underestimated method in terms of actually networking and getting to know those higher end players. If you're a fast Ditto box trader, those high level players and veterans remember that and really appreciate that. After a few hours of testing, I was able to catch around 48 Dittos per hour here, which is insane compared to the Fortress strat that I was testing previously. Now, the catch rate with the netballs isn't as high as the Fortress strat, but it's also not that much lower. We don't know exact rates, and we can't really use any calculator to get an exact rate. But if I were to guess, I would guess the Fortress strat has like a 95% catch rate, and I would guess that the Vaporeon strat has like a 90% catch rate. Now, I will say there are some times with this strategy where you will actually one-shot Dittos without a crit. I've tried to lower the attack EVs and try to find the right calculation to be able to do so. The problem is there's not going to be a perfect number. You're always going to kill some Dittos with a minus defense nature, for example, like Hasty, because you don't want to be doing too little damage to where now you can't catch the high defense Dittos with like 31 defense or like relaxed nature or something like that. So this is the best EV that I would recommend, the 108. But once again, if you test and you find things that might be better, feel free to let others know in the comments. I do believe this method to be better than catching them over in Hoenn with the Vaporeon strat. You do make 100 Pokeyen less per Ditto in terms of the actual payday because the Dittos are a little higher level over at the Hoenn location. But just the chance of catching the legendary at all, in my opinion, really does bump this up. Obviously, just farming for the legendaries outright is really, really bad Pokeyen per hour. But if you're to be doing Ditto farming and randomly come across a Suicune, giving you an extra 1 million Pokeyen, that monstrously bumps up your average Pokeyen per hour. At our guesstimate rate of legendaries being around 1 out of 5,000, we don't know the exact rate. The developers haven't really told us that yet, but if the assumption is that the legendary rate is 1 out of 5,000, it makes the average legendary hunt around 17 hours or so if you're doing single encounters and just running away. However, if you're doing single encounters and catching Dittos, you are getting much less encounters per hour, so let's go ahead and calculate that. I thought this was kind of funny to show just how popular this spot is. I switched channels to try to get a little bit of a clearer image while recording, and this is channel 4, and this is absolutely packed. But anyways, if you're doing Dittos, you're probably getting around 100 encounters per hour, maybe a little more, but I'd rather calculate it a little lower. So we're going to do 5,000 divided by 100. So after 50 hours or so of farming Dittos, which is a pretty long time, you're going to get a legendary, but that's just a passive thing. You're not there to really straight up go for that. So I think passively getting a legendary every 50 hours or so is pretty solid. And depending on which legendary it is, whether it's Raikou, Entei, or Suicune, it seems like it's going to be around 750k, maybe 800k. Suicune's around 1.1 mil. Entei's around, seems like 800k or so. And then Raikou is the cheapest right now at around 600k. Honestly, all of the legendary dogs are kind of doing well in PvP. I think Raikou is really a standout in UU, and the others are both doing well in OU, if I'm not mistaken. But let's say you're able to make an extra 800,000 Pokeyen every 50 hours on top of your Ditto Pokeyen per hour. So it's an extra 16k Pokeyen per hour. So you take your, which isn't, significant, but it's something worth noting. It's around 150 or 150k Pokeyen per hour if you're making that on average. And well, now that becomes kind of like a 170k Pokeyen method, which I think is definitely worth noting and pretty important. The difference between a money-making method making 150k Pokeyen per hour consistently versus 170k is probably enough to make someone make a decision on one money-making method versus the other. For all these reasons, I do believe this to be the best new way to catch Dittos. If I forgot anything in this guide, let me know, guys, in the comments down below. Make sure to like this video if it was helpful to you. That is super important to me in my algorithm. It means the world to me. Dislike if it wasn't. That's totally okay. Subscribe to the channel for daily PokeMMO videos. You can follow me on Twitch for streams, usually Monday through Friday, 3 weeks a month at the moment is going to be the plan. Discord down below if you're interested in that. And if you want to go above and beyond and support the channel, YouTube memberships, Twitch Primes, Twitch subs, and PayPal/Venmo really do make or break my ability to make content every day. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day. I'll see you later. Peace, Reno. Hey, thank you so very much for watching until the very end of the video. That means the world to me, and everyone on this list means even more to me for helping support the channel every single day. Thanks so much.